When I buy something, I'm kind of primitive. I often use this stuff. It's called cash. You younger people know what this is, right? I also use plastic. I like the convenience, and I get an itemized bill at the end of the month. But as usual, I'm behind the times. Creative destruction's happening all around me, and I rarely notice it until young people tell me, "What's wrong with you, Stossel? You're paying with credit cards? It's so primitive compared to PayPal, Square, Venmo, Cash with a K." And what's next? The CEO of America's most valuable company says he knows.
Our vision is to replace this 200 million times that we scramble for our credit cards and go through what is a fairly antiquated payment process. It looks something like this.
I sped this up because the Stossel show goes even faster than Apple presentations, but you get the point. Using a credit card can be a little bit of a pain in the neck.
Thank you. And so we've created an entirely new payment process, and we call it Apple Pay.
It is quicker.
That's it.
So will Apple Pay replace cash and put credit card companies out of business? If it does, Max Borders says that's fine. Great. Max is editor of the Freeman magazine. Why great?
Well, I think it's great, but it might not be me who decides. It might be this sovereign marketplace. The kids you're talking about may decide that it's time for change, and they're the ones who are going to decide.
Right, but why would it be good?
Well, for example, if I can consolidate this big, I've got this big honking thing in my.
He's pointing to his wallet.
Pointing to my wallet right now.
Can't get it out of his pocket.
I can't get it out of my pocket. It's cumbersome.
So
and I can put this on my phone.
You're not using PayPal and all these new things.
Sure.
You're still using credit cards.
Well, I am, but I just downloaded last week Apple Pay onto my phone. People are using Google Wallet and other kinds of transaction methods. These are new. And these digital natives, they're used to doing this. They're used to doing everything on their phones. It's better because it's more convenient, the transactions are faster, and eventually we might see prices of transaction fees coming down, and you'll start to feel that over time in your pocketbook.
Now, I wouldn't get Apple Pay because I just read in the paper people got ripped off.
Well, listen, there may be misstarts, there may be stumbles. When PayPal started out, they had similar problems, but they had every incentive to fix it, and they did. Now PayPal is sort of second nature for paying for this stuff online.
All these payment alternatives are promising, but they still use the U.S. dollar, which is useful, but since I was born, this has lost 90% of its value. What this buys today, I could have bought with this dime back then, and that's the reason I'm not putting all my eggs into the dollar. I hedge with a new form of currency called Bitcoins.
Bitcoin is the first decentralized digital currency. Bitcoins are digital coins you can send through the internet. Bitcoins are transferred directly from person to person via the net, without going through a bank or clearinghouse.
So, Max, this is what you're most excited about. Why?
I am. I'm over the moon about Bitcoin and similar digital cryptocurrencies.
But why? People have been using them to buy illegal things. One problem is the government.
Well, I mean, people use cars to do bank robberies and as the getaway car, but we don't want to ban cars, do we?
And I mean, more directly, people use cash to buy illegal things.
Absolutely.
Also. The other problem is the price of Bitcoins went to $1,000. Now it's $250.
Well, you know, anytime you have anything new, you get all this enthusiasm at the beginning, and then people kind of chill out, and it sticks around, and we figure out how to use it. Sometimes there's irrational exuberance associated with the beginning, but we sort it out.
And you're most excited about it in poor parts of the world.
Millions of people around the world, billions in fact, in what they call System D, people who have no land titles or property. All they might have is a phone. And if they have a phone, they are suddenly empowered because of these technologies.
And with the phone and Bitcoins, they can buy things without worrying as much about somebody ripping them off.
Right, like the predatory governments they live under, for example.
In Zimbabwe, they have billion-dollar bills because there's been so much inflation.
Exactly. So the central banks in these countries are often far, far worse than our central bank, which is not the best. But look, even if we use it here at home and even if we find it's disruptive here, If the government's not scared of a little competition, let's see what these cryptocurrencies can do.
Give the individual control. Thank you, Max Borders of the wonderful Freeman, here it is, magazine.